This is a Niche Radio podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or log into www.nicheradio.co.za.
Welcome to SuperDads. Today we are very fortunate to have a wonderful and very important guest, and her landmark work that she's just done. Her name is Cheryllyn Dudley. She's Chief Whip of the African Christian Democratic Party and a member of the National Assembly and Parliament since 2005. But prior to that, she's a member since 1999. She's married with 4 wonderful children. She has 4 male grandchildren and expecting 2 female grandchildren, which we're going to talk about a bit. She has an LLB in law and is author of a number of books, and is, what we're talking about today, a developer of private bills. And one of her key forms of information we found in the future was that we have no future unless it is a shared future. So Cheryllyn, thank you so much for being here today. And we're talking about your it's been in the years of working, of development of a paternity bill.
That's right. Great pleasure. Thank you, James. It's lovely to be here. And to chat about this masterpiece that's been in the making for almost 5 years. But what is exciting is that it last year passed through the National Assembly. Now, just yesterday, it was passed by the NCOP committee. It'll go through the NCOP plenary on the 21st of September, and then it should go to the President and be signed into law by the 1st of October. That is the expectation.
It's a pity that it took this delay, because your first granddaughter is coming any day now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm feeling for everybody who was anticipating that they might catch the beginning of this benefit. And what I would have done is appeal to companies to actually recognize the benefit of rewarding their staff for being responsible and taking family seriously, because of course if you've got a sound family basis, you're going to be a much better worker if your mind is on the job and not elsewhere. So I think globally companies have actually all moved in the direction of more and more maternity and paternity leave, and they've found that it ensured that they get the best staff and they get the most faithful staff. So what we did as the ACDP is that our media liaison person actually had a baby a short while ago, and we put up for the 10 days leave in this interim period, because as you say, it's hugely disappointing for those who thought they might actually catch the deadline.
Yes. No, I mean, your son Matthew, he's my brother-in-law, and we get to chat about quite a lot, and he's actually done quite a lot of work in preparing for things, and things don't always go awry, but and unfortunately with a different process, he's used up all of his personal leave already, and to have had this extra bonus would have been of a great value to him.
Absolutely.
But he is a very responsible parent and especially employee, because he says no, he's ethical, he wants to stick to things, and he can't take the extra leave that he wants to. But he might do the thing of taking some unpaid leave just to help with the process.
Sure. And then maybe his boss will feel really excited with him at the moment that it happens. and you never know.
I'm sure that, you being,
bosses have those human moments.
Yes.
Not too many, but they have them.
Well, especially with him also expecting his first daughter coming through as well.
Sure.
So I'm sure that they will have that shared connection. And, all of our listeners as well, because the show is called SuperDads. And the idea is, what can a father do to become more than the average? The sad story is it's this cultural reference that men are just the seed donor and women must do everything alone and, bugger off kind of thing. And then we also have this other complication of the great increase of C-sections. So it's not just a thing of voluntary, but with what we, especially in my specialization, we see what the environmental factors having effect on babies, that their heads are getting bigger and their bodies are getting bigger. So they can't actually fit through the hips of the womb, and you're having a C-section issue. And any mother or to-be mother who's experienced or seen what happens with C-section, they're incapacitated for about those 10 days. And it's vitally important to actually have the father there to assist the mother, carrying her, helping her carry up the stairs, carrying the child, caring for them, all these different things.
Sure.
And I think that's maybe why there was that very fine negotiated line of 10 days for paternity leave.
Sure.
Maybe you can tell us more about that.
Well, one of the things about this bill is that it's also increased the maternity leave. So that's a good thing too. But, a lot of the frustration of women in terms of wanting to be empowered, which also leaves men feeling rather disempowered and confused about what's going on. This is actually a step in that direction, because obviously a lot of that is not so much about no opportunities for women. It's actually that women are unable to take those opportunities because their partner, the man in their life, has not learned how to share domestic responsibilities. And this is a step in that direction, because as a father bonds with his child, learns how to actually share those responsibilities, it actually frees each other up to be not just the best parent they can be, but the best they can be at work as well, because they've got that support system in each other. So again, it's great in terms of gender empowerment. And the more women feel empowered, the much more respectful and appreciative they're going to be in terms of the man in their life.
Yes.
So this is the idea. But of course, yes, it can be even a natural, uncomplicated birth can be fairly traumatic for women. And with all the hormone activity and the depression, the postnatal depression that can go with it afterwards, just having that partner with you, knowing that there's somebody there that's doing this with you, that understands what you're going through, it's really huge. And I think that it sort of helps people get up and running confidently far quicker than when you just feel like a lonely soul trying to manage all of this on your own. And as you say, now there's added complications and there's real genuine recovery from actual operations, and that takes time. So yeah, dads are needed.
Now, what I like also about sort of the underlying themes of the bill is that it helps, like you said, there's a gender support role, and for men it's about also promoting this whole Ubuntu thing between them as well, is that it's not just a thing of, oh, my wife's pregnant and she must just be by herself. And, it's often been frowned that men mustn't be the domesticated ones, or they mustn't be helping out at home, and it creates this cultural clash. And, as a result, most men shy away from the child, and they only bond with them when they're older or more communicable.
Well, of course, the history that we have here in South Africa is where men were forcibly, more or less, moved off into cities where they were taken away from their families, and they have for the longest time been out of practice in terms of being there for their children. But you find, and I find, young men today are phenomenal. Because once they're given that opportunity, they are so good at it, and they really want to do this. They really want to be there for their kids, and of course kids respond wonderfully to that. So there is that. Of course, we have come through I was born in 1953, so I came through that era where men had nothing to do with anything to do. Once Labour started, they were out of the way. And women took care of babies, children, birthday parties, whatever. That's not like that today. Men have started to move back into those spaces, and they're proving that they're really good at it. And it does free women up to actually utilize the skills that they have in many different areas, so that they can be extremely productive in terms of helping that family be the most successful that it can be.
And also it works well with of having a knock-on effect with other bills, because, by involving men more, like you're saying, you've extended not only the maternity leave, but with men being more involved, it empowers the whole Batupela principle of putting people first in society and working on themselves. Because, as a guy, I know from my experience, the first time I actually held a baby was my own. And, my father's told me, he would ridicule me for years still. Even he's better now, but he'll still say, "No, what are you doing at home changing diapers?" Or, I never touched a diaper ever in my life, kind of thing. And it takes a lot of strength to sort of talk from your elders, going, I don't care. This is more important. And when we look at the science behind it, children mirror what they see from their parents. It's genetically programmed.
Absolutely.
So to not have either one of the parents there, it's going to be a problem in their development. And also there's a thing of, I found, sometimes with women, that's why we have the show supporting men, is that women say they want men to be there, but then so they can have a sort of a story or sometimes a complaint. I'm not saying all, I'm just saying there's a genre. But then it's a thing of, when the guy does want to become involved, they say, no, you can't do it. You don't understand. Leave me alone. So it's like sort of takes away that social, cultural empowerment that women are always by themselves. And so that...
But remember, I think women and men are actually pioneering this new age, this 21st century. So we've all said what we wanted.
Yes.
But now figuring out how to work it out is a whole other story. I was just saying to my husband how privileged he is to have been one of the pioneers in terms of having to support his wife in terms of having a particular position and having to prioritize that official capacity.
Yes.
So I would have to relate to him as a woman, as a wife.
Yes.
But there's other times on other issues
where
I don't speak as that woman or that wife.
Yes.
I speak as the member of parliament or the leader of that party. And so and you got to figure that out. It's not something, unless you practice it, you don't get it right. So we've gone quite a long way. With the 19 years in Parliament, we've had 19 years of practicing it, and we can testify to the fact is it does get better, and you can get pretty good at this. But I would like to caution people that it takes practice. We don't just want something and then we get it right.
Yes.
We got to want it, and then we've got to practice it to make it perfect.
Yes. And it's amazing also. I mean, with that whole, like I say, the whole practice thing and working, people always think there must be this magic bullet thing of just, you've got something here and it's going to make it all great.
Yes.
And
if it doesn't, it's all bad.
Yeah, and, blame the bill, blame the whole process. And I mean, even my own experience was, I would sometimes trying to be involved in the initial stage and not knowing sort of the platform. So having this is going to help with that, because I would get jealous when my wife would sort of be with the child the whole time with breastfeeding or that whole process. And I'm kind of going, I feel lost. I can't really bond as I want. So, I want the bottle. I want to do this. And, it's a process to learn, how to become a man involved with it and, what to be aware of, how to communicate with your wife. Because like you said, she's got different fluctuation hormones and babies crying for attention every 45 minutes or 2 hours.
And it's a thing of, I think, understanding that woman herself is learning about herself in the situation. And there are also all those feelings, those incredible maternal feelings and those jealousies that you have even as a woman, when you want to have that space from the baby, and the minute someone else holds the baby, you feel this craziness. It's like part of your body's been taken away from you. So there's all of that, and especially if it's a first baby.
Yes.
But if you understand that is not your problem, that's that woman's problem, because she's figuring it out.
Yes.
And if we can cut each other slack in terms of that. And then I think also if a husband is cutting his wife slack to work this out to some degree, she's going to feel really grateful.
Yes.
And cut him a lot more slack as well.
We hope.
So a lot of this, sometimes it takes one person having to do it first before the other one gets a clue.
Yes.
And but the fact is, we're all trying, and I think that's the important point. If we don't ever give up on trying to get it right.
Yes.
And knowing that even if we don't get it right, we can maybe do it better than we did it the day before.
Sorry, I got my puppy here, and there's a bit of sound interference, but she's super excited to have you here. And she's in that stage where she's a rebellious teenager, and it's, you have a thing where you're a child and then you're raising, but dogs are much quicker learning curve than you have to have with their own child. And
it's very brave of you to have children and animals.
She's great. I mean, she helps a lot of the kids. She would sleep with them at night. She actually, where Lily now would say, there's a monster. And she says, okay, that's fine. People will protect you. Say, people, thank you for protecting me. And she chases her away kind of thing. And she enjoys that.
That's lovely.
So tell us a bit more about the technicalities of the bill. So like you said, it's 10 days for paternal leave and 10 weeks for maternity leave now. And so what are the other little ins and outs? So how long do you have to give a notice? What happens when it's, planned C-section versus natural birth and these notifications?
The 10 weeks is just for the adoption leave. So the maternity leave stays the full length that it's always been. So that's intact. It's just an increased UIF payment. The difficulty here up at this moment is that nobody knows what UIF is going to pay, because the bill gives the discretion to the minister to declare that. What we have to hope and pray, and I do believe it will be, is that the minister will not take this lightly. I think that the majority party are fully aware how much workers have been wanting this, how important it is to them, and they won't want to see people playing the fool with it,
yes.
which means that I cannot see them actually making that UIF payment something ridiculous. So I'm holding out hope that we can actually trust in the discretion of the minister, and that we should hear about soon. My sources tell me that the department is preparing really rapidly for these bills to go into to be implemented as quickly as possible. And of course, one of the preparation for that would be the minister to declare what UIF will be paying.
And the term is also very good, because recently there was sort of that call for abolishment of this whole temporary leave thing and versus temporary employee versus full employee, and how the system's been rather abused to take advantage of people. So having that taken into action now during the same process will be very helpful, because then they can't use the scapegoat of, oh, you're a temporary employee and now you want to take leave, so you're dismissed, so we don't have to pay out.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing where, obviously often entrepreneurs and business people are very creative. That's how they've got to do what they've done, which means that they will be looking for ways to streamline and cut costs and whatever. And of course, we can't afford that as a country, because our workforce is so important to us. You can't cut the costs at the expense of those families who are the next generation's workers. So this is where it helps for certain regulations to be and laws to be in place, so that those creative people are reined in just enough to actually realize that we're dealing with human beings here. So we're going to have these creative people not managing to, and this is why you've got to stay alert as a member of parliament, because what works for today may not work tomorrow. So a great bill today, once people have found other ways around to do things, you then got to fix those loopholes. So that is a loophole that has had to be fixed for now. It's a pity. You would like people just to act responsibly, but when they don't, you have to close that avenue.
And tell us more about, because like you said, it's been a 5-year process. So tell us more about, what is a private bill and sort of how that struggle's been over these 5 years. Because people think if something is needed, why must it take so long? Why can't it just be done today?
Well, there's always been such a thing as a private member's proposal being available to people to do. But over all of the time since 94, we've had no private members' bills going through, or even getting past the first little stage of appearing in the committee. So when that motion of desirability was read on this bill, it was a first.
Yes.
So it was a historic moment. When it was passed in the National Assembly, it was a first.
Yes.
When it passed in the NCOP yesterday, it's a first. When it goes through the President's office, it will be a first. So this is... Yes, it just so happens that some years ago, Honourable Ambrosini, an IFP, a Member of Parliament at the time, actually took this issue to the Constitutional Court, and that ruling has put pressure on the majority party not to just write off this area of private members' bills. So there's been a little bit more effort on the side of the majority party. And of course, when in 2014, when the DA and the EFF had their own games that they were playing, and we had this continual circus for a couple of years, others of us were just continuing with the work. And one of the things that I was actually prioritizing at that time was working on this bill. But of course, I had actually done several private members' bills before that, and have done others since then as well. So private members' bills have been something that are a bit of a passion of mine, and I was kind of determined that if it could happen, then I was going to see how that could be. So I enjoyed pioneering this area of Parliament, and it's now opened up obviously a floodgate of every MP suddenly wanting to do this. But it's been such an honour to be able to pick up on this particular piece of work, because it is so important to workers in our country, and it is the workers in our country who are creating that solid fabric that we actually have some kind of some sense of being able to move into the future, and the development and the prosperity is all possible if we all put our shoulder to the wheel and we put in our bit. And of course, we don't want that to be at the cost of our families. And keeping in mind that strong, healthy families are the essence of a strong, healthy nation, and they will be the ones who will put their shoulder to the wheel as we move forward, and the less emotional problems and hang-ups our kids have, they're going to be able to do it better than we've done.
Yes.
And that's what we want.
So we were discussing before the show of how and that's also the ethos of the show, is that a super dad is one who goes out of their way to create a protective environment for themselves and their family. And, I'm sure you've had many occasions on evenings where you're just thinking, I just want to give up. This is so difficult. There's so much opposition. What advice or what kept you going for all these years, and the strength and as advice you have regarding it?
Yes, definitely. Well, it's kind of mostly, I think, the knowledge that it's not about me, and that I have this kind of idea that if I just put my hand in the hand of my Creator, He will take me where I need to go. I will do what I need to do, and it's His business how it ends up. Yes. And it's a comforting feeling. Obviously, there are times where you're just tired and you really would like to run away from the work. There's other times when it's just such a huge job in front of you that you're saying, oh God, how do I do this? Where do I start? And that's exactly what I hear inside of me, is the words, just start. So that's usually the point when I'm at my wit's end about how to do something and I hear just start. I realize God's not actually going to do it for me. I've just got to start. And it's amazing what, if a little you do, it can become whatever it's meant to become. Yes. We've just got to do that bit. That's our part to do. I think what happens a lot is people are so determined to get maybe the glory or make sure something's perfect, or do people get this huge pressure on themselves for the result?
Yes.
I take the pressure on for the job but not the result.
Yes.
So that whatever the result is, I'm good. I did my part.
Yes.
And I think that relieves you a lot. If people are very ambitious, very power hungry, it puts a lot more pressure on them, and there's perhaps a lot more burnout.
Yeah, again, your theme message is about it's working us together, all of us working together. And like I said, this power hungry thing of a person who comes and just because they're pitched at a meeting, they're saying now, but me being here created a catalyst, so now everything must be about me, and I must get this paycheck that's going to pay me for life kind of thing. And unfortunately, it's not like that.
No. It's teamwork, and I think that's a lot I've learned in this 5 years as well. It's been such a privilege working, for example, with our legal services.
Yes.
We've got these amazing people in all sorts of corners, hiding, never getting the credit for anything. Yes. And I've actually been able to work amongst these amazing people on this task, and I so appreciate how valuable we all are in terms of whatever it is we've been given to do. And the sad thing is when people start to try and do other people's part, or take the credit for someone else's part, when in fact it gets done best when we all do what we're supposed to do. So teamwork has been it's been good. I'm a bit of a lone ranger mostly because again, when you want things to happen, you just get up and do them. Yes. So it's been very good for me to be this conscious of the teamwork.
Yes. Now, one of the persons you mentioned your team and it's also mentioned in the work is Michael Prince.
Yes.
And him and again creative, passionate. But like I said, the key thing is knowing where your place is and how far you go. And you're a very good delegator at that, and saying, okay, this is how it needs to go, and we're going to be patient, we're going to take through the whole process. So ambitions for the future?
Well, we have another bill that is in committee at the moment. It's actually an animal protection bill, but it's to do with testing for cosmetic purposes on animals, and it's to ban that. Yes. And I have high hopes for that bill, except that we've come to the end of this parliament, so it may find itself having to be rebirthed again after this parliament, which means that those people who want to see me handling that bill, they need to put me back in parliament. Otherwise, I would have to hand it over and make sure, do what I can to make sure that somebody picks up on it and takes it forward. And then again, the miracle could happen that we've had one bill take 5 years. Maybe we can have this one take a couple of months. So, but it is very important. It's something that the European Union have been dealing with for the long longest time,
Yes.
and where it's actually been, where it has been banned, the big worry was that those cosmetic industries would go out of business, but in actual fact they've thrived. And not only that, new industries have thrived in terms of other testing processes that are much better than the faulty process of testing on animals and expecting it to have the same results in humans. So that's the immediate future on private members' bills. But I'm sure to come 2019, if I'm back there, I'm pretty sure that the passion will continue. And of course, we did have the other very interesting thing that you brought up in terms of radiation and the issues there, and that's been on my mind for the longest time. So the right timing for that, because obviously you can't take people where people don't want to go.
Yes.
We need to, and as people become more and more aware of the negatives that they're experiencing, the more they're going to feel the need to actually put in place some kind of regulations and restrictions that encourage, let's say, and hold business to making sure that that the safety of people is prioritized more than it's being done at the moment.
Yes. No, well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing on that. And you've had some very impactful messages, and we look forward to having you on the show again.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you.
For more, visit www.nicheradio.co.za.